Welcome to our channel, where we explore the legends and untold stories of Japan's mysterious yokai, the supernatural beings, woven into the heart of Japanese folklore. Yokai are far more than creatures of fear. They were born from our ancestors' awe of nature, and from the subtle stirrings of the human heart, the crystallization of an ancient imagination, and a reflection of the Japanese soul itself. Within these stories lie the quiet thoughts and feelings of the people who shaped Japan's culture and traditions. By coming to know them, you too will come to know Japan more deeply than ever before. Now, let us begin today's journey into the world of yokai.
Nurarihyon, the supreme commander of the Hyakki-Yagyo, the night parade of 100 demons, the leader of all yokai in Japanese folklore. And yet, his true nature is more elusive than any creature in this land. The year was 1776, the middle of Japan's Edo period. A renowned artist named Toriyama Sekiin published a book that would change Japanese folklore forever. Its title, The Gazu Hyakki-Yagyo, the Illustrated Night Parade of 100 Demons. It was the first serious illustrated compendium of Japan's yokai, the spirits, monsters, and mysterious beings of the islands. On the very first pages of the first volume, drawn quietly without fanfare, was a single figure. A long, strangely elongated head bulging upward like a gourd, the deep wrinkles of an old man's face, a silk kimono of refined patterns. He was stepping out of a black lacquered palanquin, holding a long smoking pipe, his expression serene. This was Nurarihyon. Sekiin drew his image and nothing more. He wrote no description of his nature. He gave no origin. He listed no powers. He left the figure on the page, in silence. And so, of all Japan's yokai, Nurarihyon became the most mysterious of all. It begins quietly. In the busy hour of dusk, the lady of the house is preparing the evening meal. The husband has just returned home. The household is bustling, distracted, and then someone notices, seated in the place of honor, on the tatami mat of the main room, an elderly man, unfamiliar, wearing an elegant silk kimono with a long bald head that rises strangely upward. He is calmly sipping tea. He is smoking a kizaru pipe. His expression is composed, as if he has every right to be there. The strange thing is the family does not question him. Ah, this must be a relative, they think. Perhaps an elder uncle, or a retired family member. They bow to him politely. They offer him fresh tea. They serve him sweets. They treat him with all the respect due to an honored guest of the house. And then, when the evening ends, when they turn to see their guest off at the door, the old man is gone, as if he had never been there at all, and no one in the family, not one can remember who he was, or why he had come. This is Nurarihyon, the most polite trespasser in all of Japan. As the centuries passed, Nurarihyon was given a second face. The supreme commander of the Hyakki-Yagyo, the leader of the night parade of 100 demons. On the deepest nights, in the hour when no human dares walk the streets, the yokai of Japan march in procession, through silent towns, down empty roads, beneath the cold moon, and at the very front of that endless line, walks one figure, calm, unhurried, carrying only a folding fan behind him. Follow the tengu of the mountains, the kappa of the rivers, the rokurokubi with her stretching neck, the oni with his iron club, the kitsune fox, the ukiyo-e in her white robe, the ghost child holding her lantern, every yokai in the land, walking in ordered silence. Behind one old man, Nurarihyon does not draw a sword, he does not cast a curse, he does not raise his voice, he simply walks, and they follow. He is not a king who rules through force, he is a king who rules through presence, and that is what makes him the leader of all Japanese yokai. The name itself, Nurarihyon, comes from the old Japanese expression, nurari kurari, to be slippery. To slip away when grasped, to deflect every question without ever giving an answer, to never reveal what is in your heart. In Japan, even today, when someone is impossible to pin down, evasive in every word, ungraspable in every gesture, they are said to be like a Nurarihyon. His form, his nature, his origin, his purpose. None of these are fixed. None can be held. And yet, this is precisely what makes him the deepest of all Japanese yokai. In the West, the great monsters strike with strength. They tear, they devour, they destroy. But the king of Japanese yokai does not strike. He drifts, unnoticed, into your home. He sits in your finest room. He drinks your tea. He sees everything. and he leaves. The terror of Nurarihyon is the terror of a presence you never knew was there. Time has flowed onward. The 21st century has arrived, and yet, Nurarihyon lives on, deep within Japanese culture. In Mizuki Shigeru's beloved manga, Gege no Kitaro, Nurarihyon appears as the cunning leader of an entire yokai faction. In Shibashi Hiroshi's manga, Nurarihyon no Mago, the grandson of the great yokai general, lives in modern Tokyo, navigating both worlds: anime, video games, figurines. Across all of Japan's pop culture, Nurarihyon continues to walk, exactly as he has always walked. And yet, after 250 years, no one truly knows him. No one has ever seen his full face. No one has ever heard him speak his real name. So perhaps, one day, when you return home, and step quietly into your own living room, if you happen to glance toward the place of honor at your low table, and there, seated in absolute composure, you find an elderly man you have never met. In an elegant silk kimono, with a strangely long bald head, calmly sipping from your own teacup. Then perhaps, after 2.5 centuries of wandering, the supreme commander of Japan's yokai has chosen today to pay a visit to your home. Yamata-no-Orochi, the 8-headed, 8-tailed serpent, recorded in Japan's oldest historical text, the Kojiki, compiled in the year 712. This is a story from the Age of the Gods. Long ago, in the Age of the Gods, in the land of Izumo, in what is today Shimane Prefecture, along the upper High River, there lived an elderly couple. Their names were Ashinazuchi and Tenazuchi-once. They had 8 daughters, but every year, one by one, the great serpent came down from the mountains, and every year, it devoured one daughter. Now, only their youngest remained. Her name was Kushinada, Haim, and this year, once again, the time was drawing near. Then, a stranger appeared. Susanoo no Mikoto, the wild storm god, cast down from the heavenly plain of Takamagahara. He had quarreled with his elder sister, the sun goddess Amaterasu, and been banished to the earth. When he heard the old couple's grief, he made a plan. He transformed Kushinada, Haim, into a sacred comb, and placed her in his own hair to keep her safe. Then he ordered the old couple to prepare 8 gates and 8 great barrels of sake. Not ordinary sake, yashio, oriya, divine sake, brewed and refined 8 times over, strong enough to make even the gods drunk. It was a trap set by the hand of a god. Night fell, the mountains trembled, the earth roared, and the great serpent appeared. Its eyes burned red like winter cherries. Its body stretched across 8 valleys and 8 peaks. On its back grew moss, cypress, and cedar trees, like a living forest. The 8 heads, drawn by the scent of the divine sake, plunged deep into the 8 barrels. The serpent drank, and slowly, with the earth shaking beneath its weight, it fell into a deep, drunken sleep. Susanoo drew his blade, the Tatsuka no Tsurugi, the sword of 10 breaths. He struck. One head fell, then another, and another. The high river turned crimson, flowing red with the blood of the serpent. And then, as he cut through the final tail, his blade struck something hard, something that chipped the edge of his divine sword. Susanoo split the tail open, and inside he found another sword, Ame no Murakumo no Tsurugi, the sword of the gathering clouds of heaven later. It would be known by another name, Kusanagi no Tsurugi, the grass-cutting sword. Susanoo presented the sword to his sister, the sun goddess Amaterasu, and together with the sacred mirror and the sacred jewel, it became one of the 3 imperial regalia of Japan, passed down through every emperor for over 1,000 years. Today, the Kusanagi sword is enshrined at Atsuta Jingu, in the city of Nagoya, Aichi Prefecture. No one has seen it. No one is permitted to. And in the ancient land of Izumo, where the great serpent once fell, shrines still stand, Susa Shrine, Yaegaki Shrine, quietly carrying the memory of that night. If you ever travel to Izumo and walk along the high river, and catch, for just a moment, the faint scent of sake on the wind, it may be nothing, or it may be a trace, still lingering, of a battle fought by the gods, more than 1,300 years ago. Okiku, a ghostly woman from the Edo period, who crawls from an old well and counts porcelain plates through the night. One plate is missing, and because of that missing plate, her sorrow never ends. This is one of Japan's 3 great ghost stories, the legend of Bancho Sarayashiki, the dish mansion at Bancho. The story takes place in the Edo period around the middle of the 18th century. In Edo, the city we now call Tokyo, there stood a samurai mansion near the Ushigome Gate. It belonged to a powerful Hatamoto, a direct retainer of the shogun, named Aoyama Shuzen. Serving in that mansion was a beautiful young maidservant named Okiku. She was gentle, hard-working, and loved by those around her. But Aoyama Shuzen became obsessed with her beauty. Again and again, he tried to force her to become his concubine, and each time Okiku refused him, quietly, politely, but firmly. Her refusal would become the beginning of her tragedy. The Aoyama family possessed a priceless treasure, a set of 10 white porcelain plates brought from overseas and handed down through generations. They were not just dishes, they were symbols of the family's rank, honor, and connection to the shogun's world. One day, Aoyama Shuzen devised a cruel plan. He ordered Okiku to polish and count the plates. But secretly, he hid one of them. Okiku counted. 1, 2, 3 again and again, she counted. But no matter how many times she tried, there were only 9. Then Aoyama spoke coldly. "1 plate is missing. If you become mine, I will forgive you." Even then, Okiku refused. She would not surrender herself to him. Enraged by Okiku's refusal, Aoyama had her bound to a pine tree in the mansion garden. There, she was tormented without mercy. For days, for nights, and then, one night, Okiku disappeared into the old well behind the mansion. Some versions say she was thrown into it. Others say she cast herself into the darkness. But in every version, the result was the same. Okiku never returned. No one heard her final cry from the bottom of that deep, black well. But from that night on, a woman's voice began to rise from below. 1 plate, 2 plates, 3 plates, night after night, the voice counted, low, sorrowful, unending. And when it reached 9, it always stopped. Then came the whisper, 1 plate is missing. And after that, a terrible weeping echoed through the entire mansion. The counting did not stop every night. Okiku's voice returned. 1 plate, 2 plates, 3 plates. Aoyama Shuzen slowly lost his mind. He could no longer sleep, he could no longer eat. His hair turned white. His face grew hollow. Soon, misfortune spread through the Aoyama household. Servants fell ill. Children died young. People fled the mansion, and in the end, it is said that Aoyama himself died while staring into the old well. In his trembling hands, he held 1 white porcelain plate. The missing plate, the 10 plates of the Aoyama family, were never complete again. The legend of Okiku became famous in 1741 when it was performed on the kabuki stage as Bancho Sarayashiki, latter. The story was retold again and again, becoming one of Japan's most enduring ghost tales. For more than 280 years, Okiku has remained one of the most unforgettable spirits in Japanese folklore. Today, another famous version of the legend, is connected to Himeji Castle in Hyogo Prefecture. Within the grounds of that World Heritage Castle, there is still a place known as Okiku's Well. Visitors stand beside it. They look down into the darkness. And for a moment, the old story feels very close. In the 20th century, Okiku's image returned in a new form. A woman with long black hair, a ghost rising from a well, a curse that crosses from the dead into the world of the living. From Ring, to Ju-on, to the global wave of Japanese horror films, her shadow can still be felt. The image of the well, the wet hair, the woman who should have stayed dead. It all begins here. So if you ever pass an old well at night and you hear a low woman's voice counting in the wind, 1, 2, 3, do not listen until she reaches 9. Because they say that anyone who hears what comes after may never return. Tofu-Kozo, the little yokai who appears on rainy nights carrying a single block of tofu. This strange spirit became popular during the Edo period between 1603 and 1868. He does not attack people, he does not curse them. He simply stands in the rain, wearing a large straw hat, holding out a tray. On that tray is tofu. White, soft, ordinary tofu. But when it is carried by a silent child like yokai in the darkness of night, even something ordinary begins to feel mysterious. This is the story of Tofu-Kozo, one of Japan's strangest and most charming yokai. In the late Edo period, sometime around the 18th to 19th century, strange stories began to spread through the streets of Japan. On rainy nights when the lanterns glowed softly and the roads shone with water, people sometimes saw a small figure standing alone. He looked like a child. He wore an old kimono and a wide straw hat. Rain dripped from the edge of the hat, hiding most of his face in his hands. He carried a round tray, and on the tray sat a single block of tofu. At first, a passerby might think he was just a lost child. But then they would notice something strange. He did not speak. He did not blink. He only stared quietly from the rain. That was Tofu-Kozo. Tofu-Kozo was not known as a violent yokai. He did not leap from the shadows. He did not chase people through the streets. Instead, he appeared silently in front of travelers, townspeople, or lonely passers-by. Then, without a word, he offered the tofu. No one really knew what would happen if they accepted it. Was it cursed? Was it safe to eat? Was it even real tofu? The mystery was the point. Tofu-Kozo was frightening because he made no sense. A child in the rain, a silent offering, a block of tofu in the middle of the night. He was not terrifying like a monster. He was unsettling because he turned something familiar into something strange. Why tofu? That is what makes this yokai so unforgettable. He does not carry a sword. He does not carry a skull. He does not carry fire, poison, or bones. He carries tofu. During the Edo period, tofu was an everyday food. It was cheap, common, and familiar to ordinary people. Tofu sellers walked through the town. Families ate it at home. It belonged to daily life. But when a pale, silent child carries tofu through a rainy night, that ordinary food becomes something from another world. That is the power of Tofu-Kozo. He takes the normal world and bends it slightly. Not enough to become pure horror. Just enough to make people stop and wonder. Tofu-Kozo became especially interesting because he was not only a ghostly rumor. He became a character. During the Edo period, printed books and illustrated stories became popular among townspeople. Yokai were not always shown only as terrifying beings. Sometimes they were funny, sometimes they were strange, sometimes they were almost cute. Tofu-Kozo fit perfectly into that world. His design was simple and easy to recognize: a small child, a large straw hat, a tray, and one block of tofu. People could understand him at a glance. He was mysterious but also charming. In a way, Tofu-Kozo was one of the early examples of a yokai that people enjoyed looking at, not just fearing. Today, many people think of yokai as monsters or ghosts. But Japanese yokai culture is much wider than simple fear. Some yokai are dangerous. Some are tragic. Some are sacred. And some are just strange. Tofu-Kozo belongs to that last group. He reminds us that the supernatural does not always have to be violent. Sometimes it is quiet, sometimes it is humorous, sometimes it appears as a small child in the rain, offering tofu for reasons no one can explain. That is why Tofu-Kozo is still memorable. He shows the playful side of Japanese folklore, a world where even an ordinary block of tofu can become mysterious. So if you ever walk alone on a rainy night in Japan and you see a small child standing silently with a tray, look carefully, because the tofu may not be for sale. Bakeneko, the cat that becomes a yokai in Japan. Cats have lived beside humans for centuries. They sleep in our homes, they walk silently through the dark. They stare at places where nothing seems to be there. But during the Edo period from 1603 to 1868, people began to wonder. What if a cat lived too long? What if it learned human words? What if it watched us for years, quietly waiting? A cat that gains supernatural power is called a Bakeneko. It can walk on two legs. It can speak like a human. It can lick the oil from a paper lantern. And sometimes, it can take the shape of the dead. During the Edo period from 1603 to 1868, cats were common in Japanese homes. They were useful animals. They protected rice from rats and mice. They lived in townhouses, merchant shops, and samurai residences. In one old house, a cat was loved like a member of the family. It slept on a cushion near the warm lantern light. It was stroked gently by the women of the house. Children smiled at it. The family thought it was only a pet. But cats are different from humans. They move without sound. They see clearly in darkness. And sometimes, their eyes seem to follow things that no human can see. At this moment, the cat was still only a cat. But something strange had already begun. In old Japanese belief, a cat that lived for many years could begin to change. It might understand human speech. It might learn human habits. And eventually, it might become something no longer natural. One of the most feared signs was the tail. A normal cat has one tail, but a supernatural cat could grow a second tail. This two-tailed form is often called nekomata, and it is closely connected to the legend of the Bakeneko. Late at night, the cat sits alone in the tatami room. The moon shines through the paper screens. Its eyes glow in the dark, and behind it, the shadow on the wall no longer looks like an ordinary cat. It looks larger, stranger, almost human. That is when people realized the animal they had lived with for years was no longer just a cat. One of the most famous signs of a Bakeneko was the lantern. In the Edo-period, houses were lit by oil lamps and paper lanterns. At night, a family might hear a small sound from the next room. A wet sound, soft repeated. Picha, picha. Samanon would quietly open the sliding door. And there, beside the lantern, the cat would be standing on its hind legs. Its long tongue would reach into the lamp. It was licking the oil. The flame flickered. The room moved with shadows. And on the wall, the cat's shadow became something terrible. Not a cat. A tall, long-haired figure. A shape almost like a woman. The person who saw this could never look at that cat the same way again. The most frightening power of the Bakeneko was transformation. It was said that a Bakeneko could take human form. Sometimes it appeared as a servant, sometimes as a beautiful woman. And sometimes, it took the shape of a dead master or mistress. Imagine a quiet room at night. A woman who should be dead is sitting on the tatami. Her face is pale, her voice is soft, her eyes shine in the lantern light. At first, she looks almost human. But then, something is wrong. Her hands are too sharp. Her gaze is too cold. And behind the paper screen, the shadow is not the shadow of a woman. It is the shadow of a cat. The Bakeneko stands between two worlds, pet and monster, family and stranger, the living and the dead. Even today, cats still feel mysterious. They live close to us, but they never seem completely ours. A cat may suddenly stare into an empty hallway. It may listen to a room where no one is there. It may walk through the house at night, silent as a shadow. Modern people may not believe every old legend, but when a cat looks into the darkness, we still wonder, what does it see? The legend of the Bakeneko was born from that feeling. The fear that the animal beside us may understand more than we think. The fear that something familiar may secretly belong to another world. So if you wake in the middle of the night and your cat is staring at a dark corner of the room, do not call its name too quickly. Because when it turns around, it may not be the same cat you thought you knew. Wa-Nyudo, the Burning Wheel Monk, a terrifying yokai with a human face trapped inside a flaming ox cart wheel. It rolls through the night, surrounded by fire, smoke, and the heat of hell. In old Japan, people were warned never to look outside when they heard the sound of a heavy wheel in the darkness. Goro, Rai. If you saw Wa-Nyudo rolling through the street and if his burning eyes met yours, your soul might be taken. This is the story of Wa-Nyudo, the yokai of punishment, forbidden sight, and the flames of hell. Long before the Edo period, in the ancient capital of Kyoto, the streets became completely silent at night. No footsteps, no voices, only moonlight shining faintly on stone roads, earthen walls, and wooden gates. Then, from far away, people said they could hear a strange sound, Goro. It sounded like a heavy wheel rolling slowly over the stones. But there was no ox cart. No driver, no passengers, only a giant wheel wrapped in fire. At its center was the face of a man. His eyes were bloodshot, his mouth opened in agony. Flames poured from between his teeth. His hair scattered into sparks in the night air. That was Wa-Nyudo, a wheel from hell, rolling alone through an empty road. One night, a woman heard the sound outside her house. Goro, Rai, the sound came closer, and then it stopped, right in front of her home. She knew she should not look. She knew that some things in the night must never be seen, but fear and curiosity overcame her. Slowly, she opened the door. Only a little. Through the narrow gap, she looked outside. There, in the moonlit street, was the burning wheel. The face inside it turned toward her. Their eyes met, and Wa-Nyudo spoke in a voice like iron burning in hell. I told you not to look. In that moment, the woman understood. She had seen something no human being was meant to see. Wa-Nyudo was not terrifying only because he was covered in flames. He was terrifying because he could see into the human heart. He saw weakness, desire, attachment, and the foolish need to look at what should remain hidden. In one legend, a woman who saw Wa-Nyudo lost the thing most precious to her. The next morning, she woke and found that her child was gone. Inside the house, there was only a black burned mark on the floor, the shape of a wheel. Outside, on the road, the ashes still smoked. Far away, she heard it again. Goro, Rai, Goro, Rai. She rushed into the street, crying out for her child. But the flaming wheel was already disappearing into the distance. No matter how far she ran, the child never returned. Wa-Nyudo was not merely a yokai that frightened people. He was a punishment, a burning reminder that some forbidden things demand a terrible price. What is Wa-Nyudo? Some stories say he was once a human being, a man who committed terrible sins while he was alive. After death, he fell into hell. There, his soul was bound to a burning wheel, forced to suffer forever. The wheel was not just his body, it was his punishment. It turned endlessly. It burned endlessly, and still, it never stopped. The face in the center is not simply a monster's face. It is the face of a sinner who can never escape his own karma. In Buddhism, hell is not only a place of fire, it is a place where every sin returns to the one who committed it. Wa-Nyudo rolls through the world as a warning. You cannot run from what you have done. One day, the wheel will come. Today, our nights are filled with light. Street lights, car headlights, apartment windows, smartphone screens. The darkness is not as deep as it once was. But even now, late at night, when you hear a strange sound outside, you may still feel it. The urge to look. A sound on an empty street. A movement where no one should be. Something heavy, rolling slowly through the rain. Goro, Rai, Goro. Rai, you tell yourself it is nothing. A car, the wind, your imagination. But then the sound stops, right outside your home. That is when the old fear returns. Should you look, or should you leave the darkness alone? The legend of Wa-Nyudo survives because it gives shape to that fear. The fear of seeing what should never be seen. So if you hear a heavy wheel outside your window at night, do not open the door. Do not look outside, because the burning wheel may already be looking back at you. Futakuchi-Onna, a woman, with one mouth on her face and another hidden behind her head. By day, she appears quiet and beautiful. She barely eats, she speaks softly. She seems like the perfect wife, but at night her long black hair begins to move. Like living fingers, the strands crawl through the darkness, stealing food and carrying it to the hidden mouth behind her skull. And from that second mouth comes a whisper. I'm hungry, feed me more. This is the story of Futakuchi-Onna, the woman whose hidden hunger could never be satisfied. Long ago, there lived a miserly man. He hated spending money and despised sharing food with others. One day, he married a beautiful woman. She worked tirelessly from morning until night. She obeyed without complaint. And strangest of all, she almost never ate. The man was delighted. A wife who doesn't eat. What a perfect bargain. No food expenses. No arguments. Only silent obedience. But there was something unsettling about her. Whenever nobody was watching, the hair on her back seemed to move on its own as though hiding something alive beneath it. Before long, the man noticed something strange. The rice was disappearing. The miso was disappearing. Dried fish and vegetables vanished little by little every night. Yet his wife never seemed to eat. At dinner, she barely lifted her chopsticks. So where was the food going? Suspicion began to consume him. One night he pretended to sleep and secretly followed his wife into the kitchen. Moonlight spilled across the floorboards. She sat silently in the darkness. Then her long black hair slowly rose into the air, like snakes awakening from a nightmare. The man froze in horror. His wife's hair was moving by itself. The strands grabbed bowls of rice, pieces of fish, and handfuls of food from the kitchen shelves. Then the hair carried everything toward the back of her head. And suddenly something opened beneath the hair. A second mouth, a massive, wet mouth hidden behind her skull. It chewed greedily in the darkness. Crunch, slurp, gnaw. The disgusting sounds echoed through the room. The man could barely breathe. His wife never turned around, but the mouth behind her head slowly curled into a smile as though it had already noticed him watching. There are many stories about how Futakuchi-Onna came to exist. In some legends, she was a starving woman driven into madness by endless hunger. In others, she was a cruel stepmother who refused to feed a child until the child died. But every version shares the same truth. Hunger, the pain of being denied food, the bitterness of neglect, the desires people hide from the world. The second mouth is the shape that hidden suffering takes. No matter how much it consumes, it is never satisfied, and from the darkness behind her hair, the whisper continues forever. More. Feed me more. Today, most people no longer believe in yokai. But the fear of Futakuchi-Onna has never truly disappeared, because every person has two faces. The face shown to the world, and the hidden self buried underneath: greed, jealousy, anger, a hunger that can never be filled. Futakuchi-Onna embodies the terror of that hidden self. From the front, she is beautiful and calm, but behind her another mouth waits in silence. And if you ever meet someone who never seems to eat, yet food mysteriously disappears around them, you may not want to stand behind them for too long, because beneath the curtain of black hair, another mouth may already be smiling at you. Umibozu was a terrifying creature said to appear in the dark ocean at night. Long ago, Japanese sailors feared nights when the sea suddenly became silent. They believed that when the wind stopped and the waves disappeared, something ancient would rise from beneath the water. A giant bald head, a face darker than the night itself, eyes as deep as the endless sea. The fishermen called this mysterious monster Umibozu, a creature born from mankind's fear of the unknown ocean. During the Edo-period, a small fishing boat drifted across the dark sea. The fishermen aboard knew these waters well, but that night felt different. The wind suddenly stopped. The waves disappeared. Even the sound of the ocean was gone. An unnatural silence surrounded the boat. Then one of the fishermen pointed toward the horizon. Far away, something black floated on the surface of the water. At first, it looked like a rock. But slowly, the dark shape began moving toward them. The black shape continued drawing closer until the fishermen finally understood what they were seeing. It was a human head, but impossibly large, far larger than their boat. A giant black face slowly rose from the sea beside them. Moonlight reflected across its wet bald head while its deep eyes stared silently into the terrified fishermen. No one could move. No one could even scream. It felt as though the ocean itself had awakened. Without warning, Umibozu suddenly moved. A gigantic black arm burst from the sea and reached toward the boat. The fishermen desperately grabbed their oars and tried to escape, but they were already too late. The enormous hand crushed the side of the wooden boat. Wood cracked apart as freezing sea water flooded inside. Some of the fishermen jumped into the dark ocean in terror, but beneath the waves, something even larger was waiting for them. Moments later, the shattered boat disappeared beneath the sea. There is another strange legend about Umibozu. Sometimes the creature would not attack immediately. Instead, it would ask the sailors for a ladle. If they handed one over, Umibozu would begin scooping seawater into the boat. One scoop after another, the monster would continue pouring water inside until the ship slowly sank beneath the waves. But old sailors knew one way to survive. They gave Umibozu a ladle with no bottom. No matter how many times the creature tried to scoop water, nothing remained inside. The giant monster would eventually fall silent and slowly disappear back into the darkness below the sea. Today, the ocean has lighthouses, GPS systems, and massive modern ships. The sea should be safer now than ever before, and yet, people still fear the dark ocean at night. When the horizon becomes completely black, and the sound of the waves suddenly disappears, that ancient fear returns once again. Because nobody truly knows what exists beneath the sea, how deep the darkness goes, or what may be staring upward from below. If the ocean ever becomes strangely silent, do not look too closely into the water. A giant black face may already be watching you. Hasshaku-Sama. A woman far too tall to be human. In the early 2000s, a terrifying story spread across the Japanese internet. People spoke of a strange woman in a white dress, long black hair, a voice that sounded neither male nor female, and whenever she appeared, a strange laugh echoed through the darkness. Po po po. Those who heard it were said to disappear soon after. The people of rural Japan gave this monster a name, Hasshaku-Sama. One summer, a young boy visited his grandparents in a quiet rural village. Old wooden houses, rice fields stretching into the distance, the sound of insects drifting through the warm night air. At first, everything felt peaceful. Then the boy heard something strange. Po po po. He turned toward the sound, and beyond the wall, under the moonlight, stood a woman in white. She was impossibly tall, far taller than the wall itself. The boy froze in fear. The woman slowly turned toward him. Long black hair covered most of her face, but the boy could still feel her staring directly at him. The moonlight revealed her unnatural height. She stood higher than the nearby rooftops. Then her voice echoed once more. Po, po. At that moment, the boy felt something deep inside him turn cold. He knew instinctively that this thing was not human. And then, without a sound, the giant woman vanished into the darkness. When the boy told his grandparents what he had seen, the atmosphere inside the house changed immediately. His grandfather's face turned pale. His grandmother began sealing the windows. Soon, elderly villagers gathered inside the house carrying charms and paper talismans. One of them spoke in a trembling voice. It's Hasshaku-Sama. Talismans were placed on every door and window. The boy was locked inside a room and warned again and again, do not look outside. Do not answer the voice. No matter what happens. But later that night, the sound returned. Po, po. This time, it was right outside the house. The boy lay awake in complete darkness. The wind outside had stopped. The entire house was silent. Then came the sound again. Po 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 slowly. It moved closer. From the garden, to the hallway, to the window beside his room. Then, a soft tapping sound touched the paper door. The boy looked up. A giant human silhouette stood behind the shoji screen, tall enough to reach the ceiling. Its long hair swayed gently in the darkness. And the voice whispered once more. Po po po. The boy screamed in terror. The next morning, the villagers helped the boy escape far away from the village. After that day, he never saw Hasshaku-Sama again. But the story did not disappear. It spread across the internet, through message boards, videos, and ghost stories shared online. Even now, people across Japan still speak about hearing the same strange voice late at night. On empty country roads, near abandoned villages, in places where nobody should be standing. Today, people carry smartphones. Security cameras watch every street, and yet, some fears still cannot be explained. If you ever hear a strange voice calling from the darkness, po, 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 do not look back. Taira no Masakado, one of the most feared spirits in Japanese history. More than 1,000 years ago, during the Heian period, a powerful samurai rose against the imperial court. His name was Masakado, a warrior feared across the eastern provinces of Japan. A man said to be undefeated in battle. To some people, he was a hero. To others, a dangerous rebel who threatened the nation itself. Even after death, his legend refused to disappear. This story is based on a real historical figure. Taira no Masakado lived in Japan during the Heian period, more than 1,000 years ago, around the year 940 AD. As Masakado's power grew, he conquered vast regions of eastern Japan. Villages and warriors gathered beneath his banner. Then, in an act that shocked the imperial court, Masakado declared himself the new emperor. It was open rebellion against Kyoto. The court panicked. If Masakado was not stopped, the country itself could be divided in two. An army was sent to destroy him. And soon, one of the greatest battles in early Japanese history began. The battlefield became a sea of fire and blood. Arrows darkened the sky. Warriors fell one after another, yet Masakado continued fighting even while surrounded by enemies. Again and again, he refused to fall. Soldiers began whispering in fear, "Is he truly human?" Then finally, according to legend, a single arrow struck his forehead. Masakado swayed violently upon his horse. But even in death, his eyes remained fixed upon his enemies, filled with fury until the very end. After the battle, Masakado's severed head was sent to Kyoto as a warning to all rebels. But strange events soon began to spread throughout the capital. At night, people claimed the head opened its eyes. Some even said it screamed for its missing body. Then came the most terrifying story of all. Masakado's head rose into the air and flew through the night sky, its eyes wide with rage. Its teeth clenched in endless hatred. The people of Kyoto were consumed by fear as the cursed head searched for a way back to the east. Eventually, a burial mound was built to calm Masakado's furious spirit. People prayed constantly, fearing his curse. Over the centuries, rumors spread across Japan. Those who disturbed Masakado's grave suffered terrible misfortune, accidents, illness, sudden death. Even powerful officials and construction workers became afraid of angering the spirit of Masakado. His name slowly transformed from historical warrior into something far more terrifying, a living curse that refused to fade away. Today, in the center of modern Tokyo, Masakado's grave still remains, surrounded by towering office buildings and glowing city lights. The ancient tomb stands silently within Otemachi. Thousands of people pass nearby every day, and yet many still lower their heads respectfully as they walk past, because even now, after more than 1,000 years, people continue whispering the same warning. Do not anger Masakado. No one truly knows whether the curse is real. But late at night, beneath the shadows of Tokyo's skyscrapers, some people still feel an unsettling presence watching them, as though the furious eyes of the ancient samurai have never closed.
How did you find today's story? On this channel, we explore the legends and untold stories of Japan's ancient yokai. One by one, just as we did today. We hope you were able to feel the thoughts of those who came before us, hidden within these tales, and the subtle workings of the heart that lie behind Japan's culture and traditions. If you enjoyed today's story, please support us by subscribing, giving this video a like, and using the hype feature. It truly means a lot to us. Until next time, see you on our next journey.